In the depths of adversity, there are individuals who rise above the darkest of circumstances, displaying unwavering courage and resilience. Today we are honoured to introduce you to one such extraordinary individual, Davie Shaw, whose life journey has been nothing short of a gripping tale of survival, strength and the relentless pursuit of hope. Davie grew up facing challenges that no one should ever endure. Abandoned by the care system, he found himself in a harsh world where childhood should have been filled with innocence, but instead was marred by unimaginable hardships. At the tender age of 11, he was thrust into the unforgiving environment of the prison system, where he experienced a level of abuse, physical, mental and sexual, that would break most. But this story isn't defined solely by its tragedies. It's about the spirit that refuses to be extinguished. Davie has emerged from those dark days not as a victim, but as a survivor, a testament to the incredible strength of the human spirit. Welcome to Social Sessions, Davie. How are you?
I'm fine, John, actually.
So, obviously...
When I say fine, I've got a definition of fine, which is, are you allowed to swear?
Ah, you can swear if you want.
She's fucked up, neurotic and emotional.
So, this is going to be quite a hard, kind of hitting podcast today, which obviously we're going to be touching on a lot of subjects. So just kind of what I do with all my guests, Davie, is just kind of take you back to your childhood. So what's your kind of first memories?
Yeah, I'm from a dysfunctional family, right? Both my parents separated when I was maybe between 3 and 4. So I grew up with my gran, and be 2 sisters, and as my childhood, I've not got much of a memory as my childhood, honestly. I know when I was 8, I get put into care.
Aye.
Do you know, and the minute I was put into care, I just rebelled against everything, and I still to this day rebel against the system.
Aye.
Which my dad taught me, to beat the system, you need to stay at it. And I just couldn't get my head around that for years. And then eventually, my dad doesn't make sense.
Aye.
But
so obviously, like, growing up in Glasgow, what was your kind of first kind of memories of kind of like that kind of, that you knew that you weren't, it wasn't like a normal upbringing? When did you kind of find out? When was that? Was that kind of round about the age when you went into care, Davie?
To me, I had a normal childhood up to about that, right? And then once I get put in care, I knew there was something no right.
Aye.
No, to this day, I don't know whether to blame my mum or my dad, but I've asked who put me in care.
Aye.
And they both, you need to see your ma, you need to see your dad. Both of them are dead now, so to this day, I still can't pinpoint who put me there.
Aye.
But the minute I get put in there, I rebelled. And there's one of my memories is I was in a place called Glen Rosa in Maxwell Drive in Bollock Shields.
Right.
And they were taking us out as a group. And as we were walking along Maxwell Drive, my mum and dad drove past in a taxi. And in my mind, they were coming to take me home.
And what age were you at this point, Davie?
I was probably 8 and a half this time. They were coming to take me home. And I was thinking, and I said to the member of staff, whoa, I can't go with you. That's my parents in the taxi.
Aye.
And she just grabbed me by the ear and said, yeah, you come with us. And by the time I got back, my mum and dad were away by that time. And I just stayed in care all the way up until I was 16.
So obviously, see, when you were in care, obviously you got an 8-year-old. I mean, that's so young. How you treated? How was your kind of experience?
I was treated, I wouldn't say fair, because we were all treated the same, and it was all kind of verbal abuse, emotional abuse. There wasn't much physical abuse at that particular home.
Aye.
But that comes on in a later date,
Aye.
the physical abuse. But in that home, it was just, you do what you're told, and you do what you're told when you're told.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
So do you think, obviously it's a long time ago, stuff's moved on, and hopefully care homes and all that and residential homes and whatever are a bit better. Would like to think that. Some of the stuff I've seen on telly recently would maybe show it's not moved on so much, but looking at your experience, what what kind of behaviours did they teach you? Was it stuff that was going to set you up for life?
No, they had no schooling. I was schooling is how I'd put it, but they had no special curriculum for school.
Aye.
What they done was put you in a class, give you a pen, a pencil, and you drew pictures at that age.
Aye.
But as I could progress through all the different homes,
aye,
the most education that I ever got was an SRA card, which was just a case of you read a story and you got a wee slip
aye,
and you answered questions. But see, when you got the story,
aye,
you could lift the answers out at the same time.
aye.
So I went through the whole system, no bother, just cheating.
Aye.
And they thought I was doing brilliant. Not one of them said, "I mean, you're not that bright."
So obviously they're not setting you up very well for life. So when is it you come out? When was your first when did you come back out for care, David? For 8-year-old, when was the first time you came back out?
When I was 14 or 15 perhaps, was the first time I ever went to a normal school.
Is that when you kind of stayed in Cranhill up East End?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, I went to Cranhill Secondary for 4th year.
Right.
I wasn't put in any classes that I could pass O levels or anything like that. I was just put in a class full of dunces to me.
So obviously, like, you're going in there, no really the best reading abilities, no the best kind of academic.
I could always read because ever since I was a wee boy, I used to always read a book.
Aye.
Because you can get lost in a book. You can
Definitely
be whatever you want to be in that book.
Mm-hmm.
And that was amazing to me. I can remember reading No Mean City.
Aye.
And asking my dad, "What's a mither?" My dad said, "What?" I said, "What's a mither?" He said, "Spell it." I said, "MITHER." He said, "Gives that book." He said, "It's mother." But that's the kind of reading I was at, you know what I mean?
But that's obviously just the way the kind of teaching and that's put you in that position. So see, when you go to the school in Cranhill, the secondary school, how well equipped are you to go into like a 4th year with people who have maybe been through all the different stages of high school? Did you feel inferior or maybe not inferior, but...
I never actually ever felt that I fitted in.
Aye, that's what
at school, ever. And sometimes I would fight a lot because I had a lot of anger in me, and people would say, "Oh, he's daft, aren't you?"
Aye.
I might be daft, but I can fight.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? And that got me into a lot of trouble.
Aye.
If you go way back when I was 11, I got sent to Longer Again Schoolboys.
So at 11-year-old, you're sent to a kind of prison. Well, not a prison. It is a prison setting.
It's a prison. It's Longer Again prison.
Aye.
Although it was called Longer Again Remand Centre. But
So wait, were you 11, David?
11.
When you go there?
And when I was wee, I was tiny.
Aye.
Right? I mean tiny. And I'll never forget it. See, to look out the window,
Aye.
I had to push my bed across, put my locker on the top of the bed, put my chair on top of the locker, and then pull myself up so that I could see out the window. And all I could see was the exercise yard.
God.
So, and they never gave me any education at all.
So in Longer End, I take it you start kind of learning a kind of behaviour cycle that's a very pro-social behaviour cycle.
But to me, that behaviour became normal.
Well, of course,
Normality.
It's normalised where you are.
Being disruptive
Aye.
whenever possible, causing the screws trouble whenever possible. And I see this all the time. They used to always say, "You're going to end up in the digger, boy," right?
Aye.
Now, I'd never experienced prison. I'd only seen prison on the telly. And I thought the digger was where you went and smashed up rocks. So I was like, the digger? I don't know why I go to the digger. But I ended up doing the digger anyway. And
what age is this at?
I was probably still 11 or 12 at that time.
So you're putting solitary confinement?
I was putting solitary confignment, and all I got was one blanket. They took the mattress off you during the day, and a New Testament. No other book, just a New Testament.
That's mental.
And that was it.
It's hard to imagine putting an 11-year-old boy in that position, and obviously, as you say, you're not even really... You're not matured at all yet, and you're trying to kind of navigate a prison system, basically.
Sean, see, when I was as young as that, do you know people are cut out to be plasterers, painters and plumbers and all that? I thought my life was just going to be a prisoner. I thought that's what I was going to be all my life, was just a prisoner.
There was something, obviously, when we spoke before that really stuck with me. When you said that when you were like 13 or 14, that you went into a cell or a room, and you says to your kind of your co-pilot, you went, they're training us for jail.
This is when, by the time I got to Kerlaw.
Right.
And Kerlaw had just built a closed block unit. Right. And me,
so what age are you when you go to Kerlaw?
First when I went to Kerlaw, I was 12 or 13, because I left the schoolboys. And then I went to Cardross Assessment Centre, and then I went to Kerlaw.
And Kerlaw's rough, isn't it? Kerlaw's like, looking back, it's rough.
It was rough. It was just a madhouse. It was a madhouse for adolescent means. That's what it was.
Aye.
And when the closed block opened, and we started to take people in it,
aye,
me and my pal were the first 2 people ever in it. And
you two were the first 2 boys in Kerlaw?
The first 2 people ever in the closed block.
Oh, right. In Kerlaw, but aye.
Aye,
right.
And the Kerlaw closed block. And I says to him, do you know something? This is us getting trained to go to prison. My pal was like, don't be silly. I said, look about. I said, there's a concrete bed, one window that you can't open, and we're locked up 23 hours a day.
And what age are you here, 14?
14. So I rebelled against everything then.
It's understandable, but you're putting... We all know how hard the prison system is, how hard it is to navigate it at adult and mature levels. Trying to navigate it at that age, when you're immature...
I can honestly say it's one of the first times that it brought me to tears. There's not very many times that I've been in tears, but being in that closed block brought me to tears, because I did think, this is all I'm going to have all my life. It's just a stupid 12 by 8 cell.
So sad.
Do you know what I mean?
It really, it's, so obviously, we're going to talk about Kerlaw, right, and what happened to you in Kerlaw, and obviously just talk about, and what you want to talk about, you don't need to go into what detail or whatever, but obviously there was certain elements of abuse that happened in Kerlaw. Right. Obviously somebody's been convicted of that, and rightly so. And
I got 16 years, what a result.
16 years, definitely, Davie. So can you tell us a wee bit about, obviously don't need to go into it, but just a wee bit about kind of what happened there?
Kerlaw was in four different units, right? They went Wilson, Baird, Fleming, Millerson. That was the 4 different units. I was in Baird. I never went to any other unit, just always Baird, right? And I done everything in it. I sniffed glue in it. I buzzed gas in it. Do you know, I was even on the roof at one point buzzing gas, because it was the only place that I couldn't be found.
Aye.
You know, I was on the roof with a half pot of glue.
Aye.
Thinking this is the only place that they can't come and get me, because they didn't know where I was. And at some points there was all sorts of crazy fights or nothing. Sometimes we would fight over the chalk for the queue.
And what's the staff element here? Is the staff teaching you how to become adults in here, or are they just...
The staff were just there to I wouldn't even say supervisors. The staff were there to make sure that we stayed, the numbers were right, and we all stayed in the right blocks. That's what the staff were there for. They weren't there to educate us. They weren't there to help us now with any kind of problems we had. In fact, care law was allowing me to smoke.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? And I was only 14 years of age. My mum and dad didn't even know I smoked.
And were they giving you fags?
Well, they used to give, but it was pocket money.
Aye.
Right? It wasn't a great amount, but it was enough to buy 20 fags.
Aye.
And they would write your name on the fag packet. And I'm not sure how many you got a day, because I can't be exact, but maybe between 4 and 6 you got each day.
Aye.
Do you know?
So they would dish out the fags.
They would give out the fags. Do you know what I mean? And to me, I just thought, I'm one of the boys now, I can smoke. You know
of course, you're obviously getting brought up in and about that, and so is this kind of where your substance abuse started then, Davie? Like in the kind of prison environment, like of care law kind of thing? Is this like where you started kind of being introduced to substances?
I first, I sniffed glue. No sniff glue. I buzzed gas, right? When I was in Cardross, I buzzed gas.
Is this with other boys, obviously? Aye.
But I didn't like the buzzy. I didn't like the feeling yet. Or it was, like you said, an escapism. But it wasn't, for me, it wasn't. I just didn't like it. And then when I was in care law and I got introduced to glue, I was addicted straight away.
Aye.
That was my thing, because you could go and just pour a bag of glue out and go. I used to go into the toilets first and lock all the doors and just sitting. But as you know, glue stinks the place out. So I ended up, the only place I could go without ever being caught was on the roof.
And do you think, looking back, if you take yourself back and you look at that wee 14-year-old boy that you were, do you think you were just trying to, do you think that was you self-medicating in a way? Like trying to get out, just obviously trying to get away from the pain that you're in?
Well, that's what I say. To me, it was like an escapism, because for that, however long it was, the buzz didn't last all day.
Aye.
You know, but for however long it was, I wasn't there, I was somewhere else. Do you know what I mean?
No,
I was,
obviously was in prison a long time myself, Davie. I totally get where you're coming from. Escapism's a huge thing in these kind of settings.
Aye.
What I'm interested in is obviously talking about the kind of environment that they gave for like 14-year-old boys, not such as yourself. What life skills did you get taught? Did you was there was there nothing? Like,
there was classes such as English, right?
Aye.
But like I said, it was SRA cards again.
Very basic.
The only thing I learned in care law was the day I joined up writing.
Aye.
There was a woodwork shop, right, which she made wee stools. The stools are already made, and we just weaved a seat in between it now.
Aye.
With a bit of nylon rope, and that was it. That was our education.
So that's basically all you can remember, Davie, is like that's what you were kind of, that was your kind of education.
That was my education.
And that's right up to like 14, 15-year-old. So obviously we're not going to go into the abuse itself and hangy, but obviously we're abused in care law, physically, mentally, sexually, and obviously, but thank God the guy is obviously paying for it now. But
that took me nearly 20 years of my life to get justice for that.
And I don't think you'll ever get that.
And I still,
that innocence
to this day, I don't think I got justice. I got closure, part closure, because he got sentenced. But I don't think...
What age were you, Davie? Eight?
No, when I was abused, I was 15 or something.
Would you say, and obviously this is a hard question because you don't really know, but would you say that was probably happening a lot to other boys as well?
I would say aye, but I can't.
Of course.
I can't prove for definite.
Aye.
But I would say aye because sometimes we were flooring my dorm.
Aye.
And we would all talk about kind of things are going on for us.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? And once I got took out of the dorm and put into a single dorm because I was encouraging the boys
Aye.
to cause riots and because of the abuse that we were suffering. I was saying, why don't we just fight back?
Aye.
They're only human.
Mm-hmm.
Just grab a cue and fight back.
So sad, but putting a child in that position.
But now I agree with it. But for years I just thought that's normal. That's the way it goes.
It's your truth. It's your environment. It's what you've grew up in. You don't understand at that age how bad what's actually happening to you is. If you know what I mean, like you don't actually understand that until later on the trauma starts catching up with you. And obviously we'll go into that later on. We'll talk about trauma and stuff, Davie. But so that kind of abuse, obviously you go out. How does that follow you into the streets? So obviously, how does that, did it steal something for you, do you think?
My sister said it stole my youth. I first told my ma about it and she doubted it. She didn't believe it. Things like that don't happen in places like that. And I'm saying, no, listen, it happens. But my ma, she was my stepma.
I know.
And she was a stepma for hell, to be honest.
Aye.
My dad, I told my dad about it. My dad went up, confronted the person, gave him a jab and told him it better never happen again. And although the sexual part of it never happened again, the verbal and physical abuse was non-stop.
Aye.
Used to roll up towels and flick you so you had big red welt marks on your body, on your legs and on your buttocks. Oh, a wet towel flicking it.
Good.
And that to them, that was them carrying on.
It's so so dehumanising. It's like it's so demeaning.
Aye.
And I think your sister's right. I think they did steal your youth.
Aye.
And I think that is carried on. And obviously you're quite open about still being in the kind of midst of chaos at this time.
Aye.
And obviously you're settled yourself a bit and you're doing really well, Davie. But it has followed you into adult life. Do you know what I mean?
Of course it is, Sean. I've lost a wife, 2 weans. Do you know what I mean? Because I never ever told my wife about this abuse ever.
Is that because
of the shame that was involved in it, right? But however, I done while I was in drug rehab, I done a programme with him off the news. And I told him about it then, right? And my wife actually phoned me and said, why did you never tell me about this?
Aye.
And I said to her, how could I tell you? Why would I tell? What benefit would I get by telling you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? I thought, I don't want anybody to know about this. Anybody.
No.
And the only person that ever really knows the full story is my big sister, because she was more confident. She was the person, when I ran away from care law, she was the person that would come out and give me clean clothes and she would feed me. Do you know what I mean? And
Aye.
whereas if I went into the house,
Aye.
my stepmom would phone the police and get me took back. So I always avoided going into the house. But where we stayed in Draghazy at the time, I could stand in a wee wall, my sister could see me for the house, and then she would come out. And that's...
So it's obviously caused massive trust issues in your life going through, Davie.
It's caused... I don't know if that's just caused trust issues, but see the fact that my own ma abandoned me. My own ma left. Right?
Well,
and I used to think, I know this sounds crazy, but it is part of my experience.
Aye.
I've got very, very little trust in any kind of woman, even to this day.
Aye.
Because if my ma didn't love me, how you expect anybody else to love you?
But that's very, very common for trauma survivors of that kind of like abandonment issues is causes massive problems in relationships further on down the line. There's a lot of studies been into that, Davie, do you know what I mean? So that's totally natural, and it's a shame that it's happened to you. And I can't, it's hard to put into words, but it's happened to you, to be honest, do you know what I mean? But if we can take it back, so you're kind of come out of care law, you've been abused. Where do you go for there, Davie? Where do you move to after that?
Once I came out of care law, I went back to my parents' house, right? And the only person I really spoke to was my sister, but I ended up getting a YTS job.
Aye.
Right? And I don't know, I ended up being a thief.
Aye.
Right? But that came years before that. I was stealing years before that, now getting into wheelies and stealing, picking, mixing, all of the rubbish what we boys steal.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
I think that's behaviours that you learn in these places.
Aye.
But
and I got a job as a YTS, and I was stealing money off the boss. He was a mad gambler.
Aye.
And he used to come in with wedges like that sometimes. So I've took a note thinking it was a school note, but it was £100 note.
Aye.
Right? Not him, and I said to my sister, my wee niece was just born at the time. So this was might have been 80, I don't think you know what age, isn't it? I would say 83, 84.
I read about that.
It's before that, I think, but I think it's 1980. And I said to my sister, Mum, we'll go up and see the wedding. She's like, how we got up? I was like, I've got the taxi fare. And she's like, how the hell did you get one of them? I said, stole it. It's like, you get caught. Of course I got caught, because the guy knows what he took out the bookies, and all of a sudden he's £100 down. But I lost my job through it. No, just through that. I lost my job actually through temper. One of the boys had been riling me up, right? And I flung a sharpening steel at him. And although I didn't hit him, it stuck in the door.
Aye.
So I had to explain how the sharpening steel was stuck in the door. And I said, listen, I've just lost my plot for a minute. But I was dismissed instantly. Get your Jekyll and get out.
I think obviously looking at your history, it's quite. I mean, I don't know how other people would analyse this and come to the conclusion that you're going to have a temper and have a lot of pent up anger in there.
Sean, I was a very, very angry individual, but I never noticed it. What happened was, I was at court one day, right? And the lawyer I had said, I've only met Mr. Shaw for the past 10 minutes, and I can see that he's a very, very angry individual, right? Now, by this time, I've done a lot of prison sentences. And he said, Mr. Shaw's done the equivalent of 2 life sentences in prison, so obviously prison isn't working for him. Right? And I'd never thought I'd done that length of time. Do you know, I thought 3 months, 18 months, 6 months, 18 months, nothing like that. But it was all, they weren't great big long sentences. And then they all added up, and it came to a total of 28 years. And right at that point, I realised, wow, I need to change. I need to do something in my life that I need to change. And then that's when I started getting into person-centred counselling, getting into things that I thought would help me with my life, but be able to help others as I was moving, as I was progressing. But I ended up with the same issue. And working in a rehab, somebody flung a coffee about me, and I assaulted them. And apparently you're not supposed to assault your clients, you're supposed to phone the police. But I'm not a grass.
It's not the way you've been brought up either. You've been brought up for 8-year-old to fight your own battles. It's very hard to change that. So you're obviously putting steps in place to try and change, Davie. And then...
But every time I don't know, it just seemed that every time I was getting to, or seemed to be getting to change, something happened. And I don't know if I've got a self-destruct button in me, because I always look, if things are going good for me, I always say, this is too good, there's something going to happen,
Aye.
And sometimes, maybe the power of suggestion in my head forces it to happen. I don't know. If I knew that, I'd be a smart cookie.
Aye.
But sometimes that's how it feels, that I actually make the thing happen so that people fall out of me, or people don't want to know me, or people disagree with me. Do you know what I mean? And then if they disagree with me, then I've got a chance to fight.
I think it's obvious. It's quite obviously with the trauma that you've got that's following you about for the basically a full life. You're a kid. You've got trust issues. You've got a lot of anger issues. Fling addiction into the mix. You've got a combination there for what's happening, and you can't really function, if you know what I mean. You're in a stage where you're trying, Dave, you're trying to navigate your way through, how do I get through this, how do I get through that? But I'm going to take you back to like your first prison set. When was the first time you kind of got an adult prison sentence? Was it straight away 18 right in, or 21? Was it 21? Is it?
No,
because you done Glen
I done my DC, I done my Borstal, and then my first adult sentence was 6 months. And the strangest thing is, as soon as I walked into Berlin,
aye,
deja vu. Straight away, deja vu. I thought, I've been here before.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? I even said to the wee guy that came through the court system with me, I said, do you know something? I've been here before.
Aye.
I can tell you where everything is. He's like, shut up, you've never been in the jail before. I said, I've been in the jail, but just not this jail.
Aye.
But when I was younger, you used to go to D-Hall when you were getting transferred.
What age is this?
So when I went to the schoolboys, I went to D-Hall for one night. I went to D-Hall for one night, and then I got took to the schoolboys.
So what age are you at this point?
I was 11 when I went to this.
So you were 11 when you went to D-Hall in Berlin?
Aye, and I can tell you, there was a screw called Mr. Duff, right, who actually knew my dad. My dad's a slater,
aye,
and my dad had fixed his roof and all that. So he knew me because I used to go out and help my dad once.
Aye.
And there was these. I don't even know if he was a homosexual, right? But anyway, I've said, Mr. Duff, any chance you could get us a wee cup of tea or a fag? Right. Oh, I'll get you one, son. And I was like, oh, you get me one? So, Mr. Duff, please do not put me in with that tonight. He's like, no, you'll be all right. But
you're 11-year-old at this point.
But I was petrified. I mean, petrified in case he came into my door.
Aye. No, you would be 11-year-old and you're seeing things like that. It's stuff that would frighten adults.
I was so scared. And I was so grateful the next morning.
I can't believe that you were in jail in Berlin at 11-year-old. That's bamboozles me. It's mental, isn't it? How they would put you in that position. That
was the whole transfer situation.
So you're only in for one night, but still you're in.
Aye, it's like, see, the new, if you go to Berlin and you go to E-Hall, which I call the early learning centre. Aye, right, because that's exactly what it is. It's for transfers or people who's staying in the hall or staying in Berlin. They go there for one night and then they get allocated wherever they're going. Aye. So D-Hall used to be the early learning centre. Aye. And they put me there for one night. And then the next morning I was on the bus and took up to Long again.
It's bizarre, but like looking at how things have moved on now, and you would just never put an 11-year-old boy into Berlin. That's outrageous.
Well, I don't know. What about see the two wee boys that murdered the wee boy in Liverpool? Surely they must have went through an adult prison at one point. before.
I think when I was doing it, when I was in jail, Davie, what happens now is they go into care law. So you would go to care law and on remand and whatever if you get done with if you get done with murder and stuff, and you stay in care law, then you go to Pullman, and then for Pullman you go to the adult prisons.
Aye.
So they would never ever put an 11-year-old into Berlin now. That just wouldn't happen. Like that's way beyond. That would be. That's going to be hard for a lot of listeners to hear that an 11-year-old boy was put in Berlin. Do you know what I mean?
Because it was only for one night.
It doesn't matter. It's still outrageous. Like you would.
But to me, it was.
It's normal. I know. It's not even.
To me, it was just like getting into the closed block.
I know what you mean.
And care law just for that one night. All right, the situation in the room's different.
Aye.
But it was still a cell.
Aye.
And to me, that's all it was just a cell for one night, and then I'm going to move on. And when I moved on to Long End, it was the exact same. It was just a cell with a concrete bed.
So, see all these people that say like, oh, jail's a holiday camp. No, I hate all that talk, right? Because it's...
Listen, a jail might be a holiday camp nowadays because you got your PlayStation, you've got everything you need.
Aye.
Right, apart from your liberty.
Aye.
But at that time, we weren't allowed radios. We weren't allowed the newspapers. We were just stuck.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? We were just put in a cell, and as far as I was, the key was chucked away.
Aye.
I remember being in Berlin, and I was doing about maybe a 6-month sentence, and Anne Widdecombe came in, and she was talking all about this prison reform.
Anne Widdecombe, the Tory minister.
She was talking all about prison reform, right? And she came into my cell, heavy plunder. They couldn't get out of the cell quick enough. She started doing prison reform with me, right? And I was like, Mrs, don't tell me about prison reform. I've been doing this all my life. I said, there's not one person ever offered me any kind of help, anything. But the screw who was taking her in just whipped her out. No, it's just, that's enough of him, you get out. Because I would have given it stinking. But
they want other life you've had.
They wouldn't have let me. Do you know what I mean?
It's horrible to even believe that what happened to you was allowed to happen. Never mind actually thinking about it. It's hard for me to think about, so I can't imagine. And I've been through a hard life, and I can't even imagine, Davie. So I can only commend your bravery for coming on here and talking about it.
It's not bravery, it's just a survival mode I'm in now, honestly.
But it's survival that somebody might watch this and go, do you know what? That happened to me, and I'm going to go and speak to somebody. Because there's a lot of people suffering out there, Davie, in silence because of the shame and the guilt.
There is a lot of help out there as well.
Oh, aye. Nowadays, definitely.
But there's something new, right? I'm part of this, right?
Aye.
Now, historic child abuse.
Aye.
And they were supposed to help you with everything and anything you asked for.
Aye.
So at first I got a holiday because I was in Holyrood, and John Swaney said to me, what would you like, David? I said, do you want to know? Just a holiday. Where do you want to go to? Rome. So a holiday was booked for Rome, but I got sent myself. Nobody with me, just a holiday to Rome myself. Do you know what I mean?
I like no companion or nobody.
Not even any spending money.
Just kind of sent there to Rome.
There your airplane tickets. On you go. Enjoy your week.
So if I can just move back to like what the prison sentence, right? When do we start getting into kind of like hard drugs and stuff like that? What age are you when you start kind of moving into that kind of circle? When
I was about 15, I think maybe, I was out in the street. I don't mean out in the street, but I hadn't ran away from there. I was free for a wee while, right?
Aye.
And I got introduced to heroin. And I didn't get introduced to smoking heroin. I was introduced instantly to a needle.
Aye.
And I was addicted. Before I even knew it was happening. I was addicted. And from from 15 until 45, I was addicted to heroin. That's why, I'm not saying that's why I lost my veins and all that, but that's part of the reason.
No, but the whole thing is like, it's just that kind of sum, it's an easy sum to do. It's like trauma leads on to a painkiller, you self-medicate, you don't really get, there's a thing out now called MAT standards, I don't know if you've heard of them, medical assisted treatment standards, and it's giving the person supposed to be individualised, empowering you with your recovery and empowering you with human rights stuff.
I done something similar to that, right? And it was called, it's Lifeline in Manchester.
Aye.
And I got a self-detox book.
Aye.
Which gives you the idea of how to self-detox.
Aye.
Right? And at the same time, I was studying person-centred counselling. So I thought, if I could just do this, set a date, it'd be simple enough.
Aye.
Because I can go to college on the certain days.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I will say that book changed my attitude towards drugs.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? I felt that I no longer had to lean on the drugs for an emotional crutch.
Aye.
I felt I could maybe just get off the drugs and get something else to occupy my mind at time.
Aye.
But when you're no got nothing, right, and there's no recreational things, to this day I've not got a hobby. I've not got a hobby. So it was leading just to boredom again.
Mm-hmm.
And boredom leads to drugs.
Boredom's obviously, you're left in your own head with a lot of trauma. As you say, you've known much help in the community for anybody. So logically you would move towards the self-medicating route. And obviously when you're talking about opiates and stuff like heroin and stuff, there's no a better painkiller. It's not just a physical painkiller, it's an emotional painkiller.
Right.
So it makes you feel better, at the start obviously it makes you feel better, makes you feel as if, right, I can live with this, blah blah blah. It's just killing pain, but you know yourself, you're human, so you know it's just a mask.
And your addiction is doubled and doubled and doubled.
And then before you know it, you're in a vortex of
at one time
madness.
At one time I was injecting an 8 a day.
Wow.
And even that wasn't, you see people sitting there like that.
Aye.
I just didn't get that. I just was not, I just sat normal.
Aye.
And that was an 8 a day I was injecting.
Wow.
Crazy.
So how, so see when you're in Berlin and did you ever tell any of the staff in Berlin about what happened to you in Kerlo, or was that a secret that you kept for a long time?
That was something that I had never ever told anybody until a lawyer spoke to me once and said to me, you were in Kerala, right? And I said, aye, how? And he said, was Matt George one of your instructors or one of your teachers? I said, aye. And he said, were you abused in any way? And I didn't say, aye, I was sexually abused straight away. I said, aye, I was abused. And he said, well, they're going to have a court case about it.
Aye. Would
you want to be involved in that?
Aye.
And I said, aye, straight away.
No, it's like obviously you've got somebody that preys on 8-year-old boys deserves what he gets to me. That's just the way it goes. Life goes. Karma's caught up with him. So I think that what I'm trying to get to the viewers to show is like how little life skills you were given for you were 8.
No.
But you've been in the care of the state, and we're going to go into the claim that you made and how that's backfired and stuff, because that's outrageous what's happened to you in my eyes, right? So it's just to kind of, so if I was to kind of summarise where we've got to the now, right, with 8-year-old, you've been kind of imprisoned there's no other word for it. I mean, you were in Berlin at 11.
My sister still says to this day that I'm institutionalised. Now, you've been in my house, and the way I've decorated my house is like a prison cell.
Aye.
Now, I never even thought about that until somebody pointed it out.
Aye.
Somebody said, "You've spent a lot of time in prison, haven't you?" I was like, "How do you know that?" He said, "Just by the way you've painted your house."
The younger years are vital as well. They're key to how you develop.
Aye.
So if you're developing in a toxic kind of jail environment, that's going to stick with you. Do you know what I mean? So that institutionalisation would have probably went way back, Davie, if that makes sense.
Aye.
So see, when you were like 18, 19, jail probably wasn't anything to you. It was just a...
Occupational hazard.
Aye, it was like here we go again, Berlin, which is very sad because it's a horrible place. It's really, really, but...
I spent a lot of... I didn't spend a lot of time in Berlin, but see the old Blue Moss?
Aye.
I spent a lot of time in the old Blue Moss.
Is that like the billets and stuff
and
like that?
And that was a nut house.
Aye.
I mean, you had to fight to survive in there.
Aye.
If you didn't fight, you were a victim.
Aye.
And that's the truth.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like kind of army billets where...
Well, it used to be an old RAF base.
Aye.
So it was billets with 24 beds, 24 single beds in the back.
And the staff left you at night, didn't they?
It was like... The staff left you at night.
So it was like fend for yourself, kind of thing.
And they put on classic radio.
Is that what's that?
They put on... And now, no Radio 1 or Radio 2. They put on classic radio for 6 in the morning to 10 at night.
And who in there liked classical music? Nobody?
Nobody that I know.
Aye, so it was just a bam up, really.
That's what it was. Apparently, it was to help you calm down and all that. Same as nowadays, they put you in a different colour cell.
I've seen that. They get that in Adderall. It's all supposed to be like, and it just doesn't make sense.
It's just crazy.
You're in a environment that's absolutely hellish, so it doesn't matter what colour.
Can you imagine? And they put you in a pink cell.
I know.
You just got to go off your nut. Do you know what I mean?
No, I know. So see, when you're kind of moving into your relationships and stuff, Davie, and you're starting to kind of meet women and stuff like that, how did that kind of life that you've lived set you up for your relationships outside?
Long-term relationships, I've maybe had 2 in my life, right? And I think my wife, my ex-wife, is the only lassie that I ever loved and respected.
Aye.
And now that she's moved forward with her life and my wains have grown up and all that, I still feel no anger, because she's done so proud with the wains. She's done so much with the wains, it's unbelievable. But that's the only one person. So
in a way, it's a kind of, you've got so much respect for this woman, you actually probably still love her, but it's just...
Don't get me wrong, I've had tons of different one-night stands, and
aye.
But there's nobody, and I mean nobody, could compare to my wife.
Which is lovely. It's a lovely thing that you still actually say that, and you've got that respect for her.
I know that, and I hope she doesn't see this, because she'll think I'm...
If she does, you need to get back with him, right?
You think I was only kidding on? No, but she's... In a way, she still speaks to my family.
Aye.
My son, who I didn't even get to know until he was 20,
aye,
right, said, "Dad, can I come and stay with you?" Because he was in a wee bit of trouble, right? And I said, "I ain't bother." But rather than treat him like a son, I treated him like a cellmate.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
Again, that's all so sad, but again, it's all linked back to how you were taught as a kid.
It's just, and I so regret it now, but don't get me wrong, I still speak to him, but only when Celtic are playing in Europe.
Aye.
Because although he's my son, and I'm not a Celtic fan,
aye,
all the rest of my family are all Celtic fans, and I did say to him, anytime Celtic play in Europe, I'll come and watch the football with you. Because that's what he's always wanted me. That's one of his wishes was, I wish my dad would come and watch the football with me.
Aye.
I wish my dad would take me for a pint. And I took him out for a pint and I've go and watch the football with him. I even bought my Celtic that for Christmas.
Aye.
Killed me. Killed me. But I done it. So, and then, so I've got to know him, that I still think there's a lot I've still got to know about him, and there's still a lot I've got to know about my daughter. My daughter hardly speaks to me now. I think my daughter is so fed up of broken promises and letdowns that she's no wanting to get close to me again in case the exact same thing happens. And I can understand that. Do you know what I mean? Because I've hurt that lassie so many times.
Nah, I totally understand her. But I totally understand you, and I totally understand, well, I think I do. I totally understand that you trying to build relationships that have got any kind of substance to it is really hard, because you cannot play down what happened to you.
No.
Like that is still a massive part of you. But
just until it came out with that news thing with Reva Alderson, nobody knew about it. The only one person that knew was my big sister, and then all my family knew about it because it was on the news at 6, so everybody knew about it. And I don't know if they've just said, oh, he's just looking for another excuse so that he doesn't have to be a dad, right? Although I'm a father, I'm not a dad, but do you know what I mean? I don't.
But you've never learned the skills to be with your dad.
I've got 3 grandkids, and I've never spent an hour with any of them.
I know, but I know. It's hard. I don't know. You could psychoanalyse it all day long.
And come up with the right answer.
You've got your family's side, and they're right. In every way possible, they're right. You've let them down a lot. But on the other hand, what's happened to you can't be played down. And I know many people come through and are able to tell this tale, Davie. Probably a lot of guys you were in Kelloway are dead now. Probably drug overdose. Many of pals have died with drug overdoses.
I can tell you that 8 years ran about together, and there's only 2 years left.
And what was it? The deaths mainly?
All the rest have been drug overdoses.
So is that kind of...
in fact, at one time I even had a wish that every time I took a hit, it'd be my last. Which
obviously projects again how you feel about yourself.
I even slapped my wrist, Sean. And I didn't go across the way. I went from my wrist to my elbow. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
And fortunately, I'm still alive. How, I don't know.
Well, we're glad, Davie.
And for what reason, I don't know. But a lot of averages said I should be dead. If you cut your wrist to your elbow to your elbow, for your wrist to your elbow, you should be game over.
I know.
But I still came in. I'll never forget it. I woke up like Jesus Christ on the cross in the hospital.
Tied up. I know, and the suicide watch, it must have been horrible. But so if obviously, so that's like we've kind of went through now, so we're at your kind of relationship stage and stuff. I'm just kind of wanting to know what kind of help did you get for anybody? Like, like when you were in Berlin and stuff like that, did anybody ever come to you and say, right, Davie, and we're going to help you here, we're going to try and sort your life out? Does any social workers stand out for you? Was there anybody that kind of...
There was one lassie for Sacro, right? And I had never even known a Sacro at the time.
Aye.
But it was her that sent me a book on person-centred counselling, right? And when I started reading it, I thought, I could get into this, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a Carol Rogers book after that, and I started getting really into it. And I was doing study notes and everything. And then when I got out, after my 3-year sentence, I went to Langside College to do psychology.
Aye.
But to me, I don't know if I didn't put enough effort in, or because I thought I knew all the answers, because I'd read the books, and
Aye.
what he was saying I'd already wrote down. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's I didn't progress any further than that.
Aye, so you've obviously applied yourself in prison, and then when you've come out again, it's that thing, that's that whole thing where with your family have said your institution, like, I can get what they mean, because what you're doing is you're functioning well in prison, you're doing all the work in prison, but then when you come out, it's abnormal to you.
And
like going to college and all that, you must have been like...
I think the anger management courses are a load of piss. Sorry, but in a real life situation, you don't count to 10.
Aye.
Now they tell you, if you're in and you count to 10 and you rethink your ideas. No, you don't. If somebody's punching you, you don't count to 10 and say, "Oh, wait a minute, that was kind of sore." Do you know what I mean? You just give a punch straight back. Do you know what I mean? But
especially the way you've been brought up, it's hard for anybody to imagine how they would react in your shoes, Davie. I mean, there's a lot of help out there now, and I would like to say that I can see change. Certainly with some aspects, I don't see any change at all, and I see a lot of lies getting told, and people saying they're helping and stuff, and when they've actually not got any intentions of helping.
To me, was a load of rubbish.
Aye.
I've been there 7 years, right? Now, one of my very first things, what would you like done? I'd like to get my house decorated, right? And he built me a tin of white. He built me a big tin of white emulsion. Said, "Crack on."
Aye.
That's not what I wanted. I wanted to decorate, paint my house so it's done right.
Aye.
But they wouldn't do that.
And that was...
They bought me a laptop.
Aye.
And I says to him, "Connie, help me get the Wi-Fi on."
Aye.
Because I've not really got a clue how to do it or what to do.
Aye.
We don't do anything like that. And see now, social workers now give you a wee Wi-Fi box.
Right.
Actual social workers, no.
So did a social worker help you with your Wi-Fi eventually?
No, I've still not got Wi-Fi to this day.
Have you? Still no?
No, and I've still not got my house decorated.
So who, are you linked in with anybody at the moment?
Right now, I'm not linked in with anybody, but right now I'm still on books. And when the coordinator came out and spoke to me, she said, "Oh, you've been away 7 years and there's no progress."
Aye.
But there's no progress because they're no helping me.
Aye.
There's no...
What would you have liked to have seen happen? What would you have liked to have kind of... If I could give you a magic wand, right, Davie, and just say, like, what would you have liked to have been put in place for you?
Even get the opportunity, right, to... I mean, I'm not saying go and help drug addicts, right, but there's other people that need help, right, education-wise, that I could easily help people read and write. I could easily do all things like that. But now, because I assaulted a client, I can't do anything like that. So, therefore, I can't get any... I'm unemployable.
Aye. So, at this stage, as we move on, you're kind of looking at a legal battle now, is that right? Like with kind of compensation and stuff?
What happened, Sean, was care law was supposed to make a payment to everybody who was in care law for such and such a date to such and such a date, right? Now, I was advised to take civil action, right, against the person who abused me. So I took a civil action, thinking I would still get the care law claim, because the care law claim's a completely different thing.
That's a claim against the state?
Aye.
Right.
Right. The care law claim's a completely different thing.
That's like a civil against that Matt George.
Aye.
Right.
So I took a civil case on.
But that counteracts the...
And then they said, because you took a civil case on, you're not entitled to any other claim.
So how does that make you feel again, Davie, that the state have again
Just
you don't
rejected me, and that's how I feel. Constant rejection of them. That's what I get, is constant rejection.
It's like they're basically saying to you, your abuse doesn't matter to us again.
Aye. You've been paid for your abuse, so bugger off. And that's no the abuse. I was paid for sexual abuse. I wasn't paid for all the other homes that I was in.
Aye.
And Sean, seen that when I first wrote my definition or whatever it was called, I named every single person for every single home that I was in who abused me one way or another, and nothing's been done about it. Nothing. The only one I've heard about is Matt George.
So see, at this moment in time, is your legal team looking into other aspects?
No, my legal team's finished with me now because I got the compensation.
So right, I'm going to try and just get this right, just so that like people know. What should have happened really is you should have claimed against the state, got the money for that, then you should have put in a civil. That's kind of the legal advice you should have been given.
But I was given the legal advice the other way round. I can remember going into the city chamber. First of all, I was at the Holyrood, and in the city chambers in Glasgow, they couldn't find my records, right? They couldn't find any record of me at all. So John McSweeney said go in and ask for a certain form. It was a
John McSweeney, the
MP.
Aye.
He said go in and ask for this certain form. So I went in, asked for the form. The woman came down the stairs, said, "Who's this form for?" I said, "Me." She said, "What's your name?" "Davie Shaw." "Get out the building." And see, that day, I promise you, that day I was going to commit suicide because I felt so rejected. Because he had told me to go and ask for the form, and she came down and said, "You're not getting it."
It's just, it's neglect at an extreme level that I don't think many people can take on board, Davie. I think it's, I don't even really know how to word it and put it together. It's like, I can't, for what, I just being 8-year-old and being in, and then being at 11 in Berlin blows my mind. That's like outrageous stuff. It's abuse. Like, you wouldn't do that to a kid now. You would not put a kid of 11 into a prison system. So you've had all this kind of abuse, and it's caused. Have you been going to, like, obviously there's these stuff where there's a big talk now. I don't know if you know about this, David, that there's big kind of movements now going on about kind of trauma informed, right? Self-empowering human rights. MAT standards, basically meaning that your doctor will work with you when it's medical assisted treatment, as in Suboxone, right, methadone, whatever. What would you say? Would you say that there's been an improvement with that, or would you say it's just the same?
There's been an improvement because they've took people off of methadone and give them Suboxone.
Right.
And it's a better idea, because anybody who was on methadone that I know was supposed to take it on a harm reduction basis, and everybody went up the way.
Aye.
Everybody. Started off at 30 mil.
I don't come down, didn't you?
Well, it's no hoarding me. It was hoarding them, but they weren't gouging it, so it wasn't hoarding them, do you know what I mean?
Aye.
So they went up and up and up. And I know somebody who's on 210 mil of methadone. That's enough to knock an elephant out.
Easy.
And it gets it every day.
Easy. It's a lot of methadone.
Yeah, I was going to say something else there about...
What about your human rights and stuff like that? What would you say?
That's what I was going to say about the human rights. See, the Scottish human rights, when they got involved, because they first said that care law was time barred. Now, to make a claim it was time barred, right? So we had to go and fight that time bar thing.
Aye. So that was a judicial review, probably.
Right. And I've still got it in the house. I've got all sorts of Scottish rights, human rights information in the house.
Aye.
Right? But see the information what they're giving you, they're not following up what they're saying.
And does it make you feel, because what we're trying to do is obviously try to highlight how people like yourself who are in a bit of a chaotic life and in the midst of addiction, how do you feel about getting these rights? Do you feel more empowered?
No. I feel the exact same, as if you're in the system, you're not going to get out of the system, no matter how hard you try, no matter what you do, they're going to keep you in the system. And that's how I can't get my compensation. Do you know what I mean? I can't get the things that they promised me, the things that they said would be a change in my life. I don't get any of that. Because they know if you get that, then there's a chance that you could actually change your whole lifestyle.
Since you won your case and stuff like that, and that whatever his name was put in, Matt George was put into jail. Who's followed up with you? Is there anybody that is like your legal firm, like the MPs? No. Is there anybody kind of followed up and said, how's Davie Shaw getting on?
No. The only one person that phoned me was the PF. When he got the sentence, the PF phoned me up and said he got 16 years the day. And I was elated. I was over the moon. I tried to get, but there's no other person that came out and said, how do you feel about that, David? Are you all right with that? I tried to get into that.
Did they send you any kind of trauma?
Oh, sorry, it's no Phoenix Future, it's Phoenix Pathways.
Aye.
It's Phoenix Pathways.
I was thinking that because...
And do you know, I went into their office once, right?
Aye.
And asked to speak to a manager.
Aye.
And they refused me.
Aye.
No, the manager doesn't speak to people like you. Who the fuck does he speak to then? Sorry, how does he speak to then? What does he do?
So what is Phoenix Pathways? Is that something for abuse victims? Is that...
This was a new setup, and it's specially designed for people with historic abuse.
Right.
And it's to help them get a lifestyle that they should have been entitled to, but the abuse and what they call it hasn't been able to get that lifestyle.
And is this a government funded?
Aye, it's government funded.
And do you know who runs that? Do you know what, like, do you know who runs it? Is it MPs or is it judiciary? Is it, like, do you know who it is that kind of is involved? Do you know who runs it, Davie? No?
I have no idea who runs it.
So Phoenix Pathways have no followed up on any of their promises?
I can tell you where their office was, but it's in Queen Street.
Is it?
Aye. Because I went into the office and asked to speak to the manager, and they wouldn't let me. I phoned up once and I asked to speak to the manager, and that was after 8 months of my coordinator just ignoring me completely. No even sending me a text saying, how are you today? Do you know, how are you coping today? Nothing at all. And then I got a letter saying, we've noticed that you've not contacted us in 8 months.
Did you write to John Swinney? Have you tried writing to him? Did you ever try contacting John Swinney to say, look, the stuff that I was promised...
See, John Swinney's got a different position now.
I know, but you would still... It would be still... I mean, that's something that we can look at to help me as well. We can maybe try and write to them with you, Davie, and see what they say. Because obviously it's no good enough. Historic... You've came forward really, really brave. And you're trying to show other people, like, look, you can do this, you can commit.
One of my things was help me get a driving licence so that I could learn to drive.
Aye.
And I was saying, think about it, the possibilities. If I had a driving licence, there's a possibility, there's a job, there's all sorts of possibilities, right?
Unlocks a lot of doors.
What they done was pay for 10 lessons, right?
Aye.
You can only get 8 because 2 you need to keep for your test.
Right.
So after 8 lessons, if you're not ready, you're done. That was it. They stopped.
So basically you were given a wad of cash.
No, I didn't. I was never ever get any kind of money off of Future Pathways, ever.
No?
Never. Any time I asked for anything, I got a token to go to the shop. So I couldn't even pick what I wanted. I had to go and get a certain like Sports Direct, they would give me Sports Direct.
Aye.
Now, if I wanted a Ralph Lauren trackie, I couldn't get a Ralph. They just get a Slashing one. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
So that's what they done.
Aye.
They give me vouchers to go to shops rather than give me cash.
And is this happening? Do you know other historical sex victims? Is this what's happening, or is there other people getting treated better? Or?
I don't actually know, because they've not got any kind of group sessions or any kind of group work where victims come together and talk.
And would you like that, a kind of restorative?
I think it'd be good, because then you could see that other people are getting the help that you're missing out on.
Again, that's something that we could look into, maybe trying to start. If you would be maybe willing to start that, it's something we could look at.
Listen, I started a support group in Sacco for ex-prisoners who came out and couldn't work a wash machine, couldn't do things like that. And that kicked off.
Aye.
But again, I got accused of stealing.
Aye.
And I didn't. I did. I to this day, I promise you, I didn't.
Aye.
I went for Hope Street, where the Sacro building is, and I went to Park up in Balmore Road, which is placed aftercare recovery centre. Right? And as soon as I walked in there, they searched my bag. And I thought, what's going on? Oh, something's went missing in the Sacro office. And I said, what? And I'm to get the blame for it? Oh, we're just checking. What are you looking for? A hi-fi. What, in my sports bag? A hi-fi in my sports bag? Get it together, will you? You know what I mean? But that's what happened. I actually got the blame for it, and I never ever, to this day, I never got an apology.
But you would be interested in that kind of restorative kind of for people who have suffered this kind of, because there's got to be loads, Davie, out there that are suffering in silence.
Listen, see, when I was going through all the human rights stuff, right, there was loads, and I mean loads of people came in, all victims of abuse.
Aye.
Oh, one's for the vicars, one's for the nuns, one's for Quarriers Homes, one's for all over the place.
Aye.
And they all would come together to get this time bar lifted.
Was there I know this is quite hard for you to probably answer, and know even it's like quite a hard question, but was there a sense of a lot of the people that were involved maybe were in that kind of, were maybe in addiction, or were maybe kind of living that? Did you get that feeling, or did you get the feeling that...
There was a lot of elderly people at it, right?
Aye.
So, and they were saying, oh, we'll help you do this, and we'll help you do that, and this old guy, right, they said, what happens if I want a prostitute? Would you pay for that? Because you're supposed to deal with my needs, and that's what it's all about. Whatever you need, we will help you get your needs.
Aye.
That's what it says on the paperwork.
Aye.
And they was told, no, we don't do that.
Well, it's illegal, so I think they can do that.
I could understand at the time. I was just the old guy was just.
Aye, I know what you mean.
Now, just been.
Aye.
If that's one of my needs,
aye.
How can you not sort that?
I think obviously the way you guys have suffered such terrible abuse, your lack of trust for authority is going to be nil. So you're going to make a mockery of the people that are trying to put in place something that you've obviously clearly been let down again with.
I feel so let down with that future pathways map. So let down. 7 years I've been part of the setup. I was part of the setup for the minute I opened, right? And they promised me the world and give me a tangerine. That's what happened, really.
Aye. I know. No, I don't know. So what is next? What's your life like now, Davie? What are you doing with yourself now these days? Are you just kind of living?
I'm just living day. Do you know, actually, I still feel like a prisoner. Only I'm in my own house. I still feel like a prisoner. Do you know what I mean? All right, I've got freedom to do whatever I want, but I've not got finances to do whatever I want.
And there's a sense that institutionalisation, there's like obviously like probably feel comfier just sitting in your own house and your own kind of...
sometimes to this day, I still don't watch the telly. I put the radio on.
Aye.
Because the radio is, I don't know, music takes you away as well. Do you know what I mean?
No, I get that. It's sad. It's you're going back to an existence that I've tried to explain this to people before, and a lot of people can't. You become comfortable in your own trauma, which it's hard to explain to people, but that's all you know. So you're comfortable in that. You're comfortable with you know. If I take you out and I go, Davie, let's go kayaking and let's go this, you're like, I don't want to go kayaking, I don't want to go, do you know what I mean? Like, that's not my world. Like, that's what you think.
No,
you need somebody to take your hand and take you out, and that's what should be happening.
That's not, see, if I suggested that I wanted to go kayaking, right, they'd book it, right, pay for it.
Yeah, kayak and send you down to the river yourself.
They'd book it, hire the kayak, the instructor, the full montage, and tell me to go there myself.
Aye.
No, that I can go with a friend. No, that I can take anybody with me.
Or even a group from the...
Aye, I just go there myself. So if I go there myself, I'm not going to enjoy it because I've got nobody there to enjoy it with. Same as when I went on holiday. I went on holiday and I was bored.
I know.
How can you be bored? I went to the papery. I went to
Vatican.
the Vatican, right? The Pope wasn't in there enough, but I went to the Vatican, right? And I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy the whole experience at all. Did
you not even get like a sense of the beauty and the atmosphere and nothing?
No. St. Peter's Square was empty.
Aye.
And all the time I've seen it on the telly, it's always been chock-a-block. Yet when I went, it was empty.
Aye. So is that the only time you've been abroad?
No, I went to Ibiza. Tenerife. But that was no through them. That was through, I met this lassie and she wanted to take me on holiday.
Aye.
So she took me, and I went to Spain with this lassie who was engaged 3 times.
Aye.
But she pawned all her engagement rings, bought me my passport, took me to Spain.
Good holiday.
That was a good holiday, aye. Because there was somebody there to enjoy it with.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
I get it.
I went to Tenerife again. Now, my own family were in Tenerife.
Aye.
Right? And I said to him, I want to go to Palace de Domingo or something like that. I can't remember the name of the exact place, right? And he said, right, I'll book it for you. Do you know he booked me 50 miles up a mountain?
I've been to Tenerife. If you get up that, is it Puerto de la Cruz you end up? No. Like, are we up high in the mountain bit?
I think it was further up than that. It was
Mount Teide. Mount Teide, I'm sure.
It was very near the top of Mount Teide, aye.
So that's where you ended up.
It was just one wee village, it was a street. Just one wee village, it was a street. I think it was called something Rosa, I can't remember.
Aye.
But I phoned him up and said, how did I get down to Ibiza? How did I get down to Tenerife on the beach? There's no buses. Oh, I've looked at the bus service. I said, so far. There's one bus every fortnight. But it's not true, but it's...
I know what you mean.
There's 2 buses a day.
Aye.
One goes at 8 in the morning.
I know, and doesn't come back 8 at night, I know.
Right?
Aye.
And then he said, I've looked at the timetable. There's plenty of buses. And I said, listen, I'm paying €50 a day in a taxi. Oh, I'm not refunding you that.
Aye. Oh, it's sad. So, see, as we're coming up to the kind of end of the podcast, Davie, right? There's no really any words to put into what's happened to you, and I hope one day you get your justice. I hope the legal system, something turns around with your claim. I think something needs to happen with that.
Sean, can I just ask you a question? See, I don't know if it was maybe through you that I heard that a conversation that you were involved in, but is there a lawyer who could possibly help me sort out the rest of this care line.
I'll certainly look into it for you, and I'll certainly speak to a few lawyers. I know a few lawyers. I'll certainly speak to them.
Because it's so wrong. It's so wrong.
It's so wrong on so many levels, because you're not getting justice from the perpetrators being the state, and whether the state...
And it's not just the one children's home, it's a variety of children's homes.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? They're just pinpointing it to one person in one home.
And you've named the abusers.
And I've named the abusers in all the different homes.
And has the police followed any of these leads up? It's followed?
No, not to my knowledge, no. The only one they followed up was Matt George.
And he ended up getting 16 years?
Aye.
Right, I'll certainly look into it, and I'll speak to a few lawyers for you, Davie. I can promise you that, and I'll get back to you and I'll let you know what they say. I've got a funny feeling that the way it works is they've kind of got you by the boys in the way that you've went for the civil claim. I think you were wrongly advised.
Aye.
But you could appeal that and say there's I don't know, there's a thing called an Anderson appeal, which when you're wrongly advised, no, it's usually used in criminal trials, but I don't know how, if you could maybe use that in a judicial review. I don't know, but I'll certainly look into it, I promise you.
Thanks very much.
But it's been a pleasure having you, honestly.
It's been great having a wee chat, because it's not very often I talk about this kind of shit.
No, and it's honestly, it's been so, I just think your bravery, I commend it. And if I could just say, if you could one message for somebody that's sitting there that could see this, who's a victim of abuse, that's sitting in silence, what would you say to them?
I would tell them, open up to somebody. Even if it's a member of your family, even if you've got to go to a social worker, even if you've got to go and speak to a lawyer, open up to somebody.
Aye.
Because somebody will listen.
No, brilliant. And we'll try our best, Davie. I promise we'll try our best to link you in, and I'll see what I can do with the lawyers and stuff. And I can only thank you for coming on, and it's been brilliant talking to you.
I've honestly, I've really enjoyed it, because I've not opened up like this for ages.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? And I do tend to hold all my feelings in.
And we'll follow up if anything happens with the lawyers and or whatnot. We'll follow up and let the viewers know what happens with your case.
Aye. Have a look at Future Pathways. There's rip-off merchants.
Final words.
This is true. I asked to see an audit of what was claimed on my name.
Aye.
Right? Now, my coordinator passed 2 audits without me giving him receipts. How can that be possible?
It's madness, isn't it?
It can't be done. How can you pass 2 audits when I've got £3,000 worth of receipts?
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
No. It's like a lack of interest, isn't it?
Aye. It's just, he's been in holiday game, that's enough. That's how I feel about it all.
No, and you've got every right to feel like that.
And my coordinator still not spoke to her. I texted her on the 10th of this month, because I said to her that I wanted a low-down house.
Aye.
Because I've got COPD and I can't breathe all that clever sometimes.
Aye.
So the stairs can be a bit of a bother at times.
Aye.
And she never get back to me.
Well, honestly, we'll do everything we can for you, Davie. I promise you that. And I'll look into as much as I can. I'll get a couple of letters sent out for you.
Thank you very much.
And honestly, pleasure having you on, and I wish you all the best in in the rest of your life. And I really do hope that you get the justice you deserve.
Thank you very much, Sean. And it's been good. For me, it's been good.